So I was giving a lesson to a guy yesterday who was doing something very common that I see people in his position doing whenever they're just trying to play a groove on the hi-hat. And it has to do with fills and misplacing crash cymbal hits. For whatever reason, this is a very particular place that people want to put the crash cymbal, insert the crash cymbal into their groove. When really, I can think of no scenarios where this would be appropriate in playing an actual song, unless there were an accent somewhere else from the other instruments that warranted it. So his situation, first of all, is that he has the basic coordination to play a drum set, and he can play a basic beat for at least a few measures at a time before maybe losing timing. But he's never owned a drum set of his own before, so he isn't as consistent or as solid as he could be if he had had the experience of having all that practice that you get having your own drum set. But he hasn't had that, so he has massive potential to get better. Whereas some people, let's be honest, they just can't use their brain in the way that you need to play drums. It's not an instrument that's for everybody. You know, you can be a brilliant multi-instrumentalist, pick up pretty much anything and play it with relative ease and competence. But, you know, maybe you just can't play drums. There's a level that you get to where, okay, basic coordination isn't enough. Like, you actually have to practice. And part of one of the things that you practice is creative inputs into the music. This is it in a nutshell. So what he was doing is playing a basic, 4/4 time beat. And he had that down pretty solid. Now what he wanted to do is place the crash hit where in fact you should either be placing a hi-hat accent or be doing nothing at all. And that's between the 4 and the 1, like this. So I told him, I was like, dude, wait half a beat. Place that crash right there on the 1 to end one measure and begin another. And that's a proper use of the crash cymbal, like so. Now, that's the first level, is placing the crash where, in most musical settings, it's going to be appropriate. Now, it's time to dial it back. That's a beat that is going to be common for a verse of any given 4/4 rock pop song that you're playing. Because it's a verse, you're kind of sitting in the back as the drummer, you're holding the beat down. You're not calling attention to yourself. At least not until maybe there's a break and you're entering into the chorus. So what you want to do is use that crash very sparingly. You don't want to hit it at the end of every single measure within the verse. It's going to be too much. It's going to be ringing out. It's going to attract a lot of unnecessary attention, and you're not really going to be adding anything of value to the music itself, all right? We always want to serve the song, not serve ourselves, but, be a little flashy and creative whenever it actually enhances and complements what's already there in the song, like so. Then maybe hit the crash at the end of that 4th measure. Even if it's in the middle of the verse, if you're going for another 4 measures in the verse, then maybe hit the splash instead, and then hit the crash as you're going into the chorus, like this. Right, and then the chorus is gonna call for a little extra flair, a little extra creative input regarding the crashes, regarding even hi-hat accents, the ride like you just saw, and tom fills. I see it a lot that, oh, I wanna hit the crash, you know, from someone who maybe doesn't have the experience behind the drum set, but does have the basic coordination to play a groove. They want to hit that crash a little more than is necessary. And there are ways to be more subtle with the crash. The hi-hats are a little open. I don't have the example of having other instruments playing with me right now, but you saw how immediately I'm playing open hi-hats. I'd only be doing that in a song that called for a more open style of play. In that kind of situation, you can work with the crashes a bit more. Maybe not so abruptly like, okay, got a crash hit coming, bang, in the middle of a verse. Think about water, okay? You want the crashes to be watery. You want the crashes to enhance a snare stroke or a bass drum stroke, basically. Which is why we almost always use the crashes in conjunction with the snare drum or the bass drum. All right, see how on that bass drum hit, that's the climax of the crescendo on the crashes. Think of those crash cymbals because they often come once in a while, that they need to be integrated properly with the other parts of the drum set that are more fundamental. Bass drum, snare drum, and in most cases, whatever you're keeping time with, the hi-hats or the ride cymbal. Okay, so those four things are the foundation. The crashes should always enhance and complement your usage of those fundamentals, not distract from it, because crashes can be very distracting. So hope you liked this little mini lesson. Hope it all made sense. Y'all have a good day. Cheers.